smile makes the city look so bright. Close your eyes and just stay tight. We have to go. Stay with me while we leave. Don't worry, just believe me. This journey will last. Stay with me while we leave. Stay with me while we leave.
What is going on, YouTube? Tito checking in with you all. So, my girlfriend and I, first off, this is Tara. We met in graduate school and have been together ever since. Just got done at the gym, figured we'd eat our post-workout meal, which isn't much of a post-workout meal. It's Domino's Pizza. But I figured, the last time I updated you all on anything was 2018, so lots have happened since then. So we're just gonna eat and have a conversation. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. So let's dig into this. We got pizza over here. All right. And then I'll give you some of these.
Thank you.
All right, so first off, graduate school. Just to kind of very briefly recap it. Phenomenal experience. Wouldn't wish it on anyone.
No.
I think we both agree that we wouldn't do it again if...
No. If I were to go back, I would choose a different route.
Well, not only that, but it took like 5 to 10 years from my life just going through that experience.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, 8 years.
Yeah, so we were in school, graduate school for 3 years, and undergrad, of course. So, basically, last we left off, we were going on internships, and we had a full year of internships. Basically, our school at least required 4 different internships, and they were all within 9 weeks. They were all 9 weeks, and basically wherever our school had an affiliation with, we could go travel there and do the internship there. Stupidly, and I don't agree with this, we had to pay tuition, and we had to front the costs of the moving, the living, and all that.
Everything.
So, luckily for us, this was early on in our relationship, we got placed in the same locations for the most part. Not the same clinics, but the same areas. So the first place was San Diego. And what did you think about that?
I really enjoyed San Diego as a city. My internship I didn't enjoy as much. I was in an outpatient clinic seeing 16 patients a day. Not really providing the quality of care that I was hoping for as a clinician. So, loved the city, didn't like my setting. But
yeah, we stayed in like Kensington, I think.
yeah.
And my internship was down by, I can't remember the names anymore.
Mine was National City, so it was actually south of San Diego.
But more or less, my internship specifically, they worked me like a horse. It was essentially free labor. Excellent learning experience as a result, but I think how they did it, almost fraudulent in a way. And then, so we stayed in San Diego for a while, absolutely loved it there. Don't think I would live there simply due to the cost of living.
Yeah, that's true. It is really expensive there.
And keep in mind, we're driving between all these. So then we moved up to, or rather back to Wisconsin, where we went to school, and stayed in Milwaukee.
I really liked that internship, working in the ICU. More of those acute patients is what I was more used to and comfortable with. And we got to work at our own pace, and I liked that. Milwaukee is a decent city too. It was nice to be closer to family.
Yeah, we stayed in like downtown Milwaukee in like an apartment. It was like a 1-bedroom, nothing special, but it was a cool location. Lots of food nearby us.
Walkable to Lake Michigan. So that was nice.
I also worked in like a hospital setting, and that was one of my better internships due to the clinical instructor. She was excellent. So great learning experience there, and we both, I guess, enjoyed that aspect. From there, we drove all the way down to Florida.
I didn't like Florida. I didn't like Florida.
Why not?
Oh, for a multitude of reasons. First of all, it was scary driving to and from work every day. So many elderly people driving that probably shouldn't be. And it was just scary. Saw a lot of car accidents, wrong way drivers.
Yeah, we lived with this very sweet, she's probably in her 90s,
Yeah.
Mary. Mary, love you. I know you're not going to see this, but love you.
Love you, Mary.
We lived with Mary. Basically, she cut off like her master bedroom area, built off a little kitchenette, and that's where we lived for 10 weeks. That one was a little bit longer.
And it sucked.
For reference, we're in like Fort Myers, Port Charlotte area, the eastern parts of Florida, not so much the western, which is a little bit different, of course, with like Miami and all that. But
vice versa. We're on the western.
yes, what she said. So basically, I had to drive 1 hour each way, 3 days a week. And keep in mind, as mentioned, we had to pay for all this. And it was unpaid internships, which is most of graduate school, especially in the healthcare sector, short of like physicians' residencies, it's unpaid. And we got to pay tuition and all that. So, yeah, we were excited to leave Florida, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't a fan. But I mean, it was nice being in Florida during the Midwest winter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the niceness ended.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool visiting the beach here and there, but short of that, I don't think that I would ever live in Florida.
Nope.
And for reference, this time frame was like January of 2020, and we'll get more into this, but this is when we first heard of something called COVID-19, and we were like, oh, first case got into the United States, no biggie. Like, it's just another one of those things.
Yeah, I think there was one in like Texas or something, and this was as our Florida internship was wrapping up, and we were about to head up to Washington, so to the Seattle area. So
Picture this. We're in Western Florida. We have the road trip up to Seattle, Washington. Okay? January, keep in mind. So we drove through like Alabama, all those southern states, went through part of Texas, then drove north, went through Colorado, and then Wyoming.
And that's where we got stuck.
Yeah, so naturally, of course, we're going to have the amazing luck of there being more or less a winter storm. So did we do that in one day from Florida to Colorado?
We stayed in Texas. At one point. Mm-hmm.
So then we drove up from Texas, went up to Wyoming, and I don't remember the name of it.
Laramie.
Laramie? Mm-hmm. So it was Laramie, Wyoming. And basically from Laramie to get to the next state to the west, you had to cross this major freeway. It was the only way to cross there. And right when we got to Laramie, they were saying that there's a huge winter storm. So then we had to, hunker down and stay in a hotel in Laramie, Wyoming.
Yeah, they closed down the interstate. Mm-hmm. Like, they weren't letting anyone drive on it, so we were stuck. It had a nice pool, though, so that was nice.
Yep, so we stayed there, and then the next day, we were like, okay, we're kind of in a time crunch as far as, making it to Seattle and starting internships and giving us adequate time to, settle in and all that. Because keep in mind, basically our lives are in our car, like all our belongings. So the next day we drove from Laramie across that freeway, and we both almost died.
Yeah, it was scary. We're driving separate vehicles.
Yeah.
Both of us are each driving our own. I have a small SUV, and you're in
I'm in my small Audi A4.
a car. Little car.
So we're on that freeway, and they did open it up reluctantly. Crazy high winds. You couldn't see more than 2 feet in front of you. snow blowing everywhere. And there's semis just cruising by us. And throughout that whole time, I'd say we both almost died at least 4 or 5 times.
I've never been so scared driving, and I had spent a few Wisconsin winters driving in wintry conditions, but this was next level.
Yeah, we're both Midwest, born and raised, know how to drive in snow, but that was somewhere where I was just like, I can't believe this is happening. And we have, a lot of driving experience. We traveled a lot in the last few years. So, in any case, we made it through that. Drove through Idaho, I think, was one of the next ones, and then went straight to Seattle. We rented an excellent Airbnb. It was just like 3-story townhouse in I'm not sure which part of Seattle. It's
Yeah, I don't know.
But in any case, we spent a little bit more than we should have. But it actually came around to helping us out because we started internships, of course. She had a long commute. She dropped me off in the morning because mine was downtown Seattle where there's no parking, of course. And, we're cruising along. Throughout this, we're studying for our boards. The last, exam that we have to take to pass graduate school, I guess, or become licensed as a physical therapist. I think it's the latter there. So we studied for the boards while doing this internship, which is absolute death, by the way.
Yeah, no.
We were very stressed out. It was like no free time. But then halfway through, all of a sudden, Seattle, which was kind of the epicenter of COVID-19 at the time, we started hearing cases about it. I worked with a lot of like Facebook and Amazon employees at my internships, so started hearing about it from them.
Yeah, I had a lot of Boeing employees that were coming in, and I was hearing about it through them and people's families who worked at the care center that a lot of the elderly people ended up dying right away when COVID first came in that late February, early March 2020.
Mm-hmm. So then, throughout all this, we're hearing more and more news about COVID. Our school is sending like weekly check-in emails about, okay, we're monitoring this, everyone stay safe. And everyone was just kind of, panicking because we were scared that we wouldn't be able to finish our last internship and graduate because it was a requirement. Mm-hmm. Luckily, we got to about the halfway point, maybe a little bit over the halfway point, like 5 weeks. Mm-hmm. And we get an email, and I think right before we got the email, the weekend before, we actually got COVID. And
Oh, yeah.
remember?
Yeah.
And this wasn't confirmed because at the time they were only testing like elderly, high risk. So
Yeah, so King County advised us just to quarantine for 2 weeks because they couldn't afford to give us tests. So, yeah, we ended up having our internship basically canceled.
And luckily we had enough built into our curriculum already to where we had enough weeks to I guess match the requirements from the national boards.
Mm-hmm. Which it was great because we had tons of time to study now for our boards. Almost too much time, and then scheduling and taking our boards was a whole different beast.
Yeah, so our last half internship got canceled, as she said, studied for our boards, and we had our boards scheduled initially. I think it was end of April. Mm-hmm. And we ended up not taking it until towards the end of May. And keep in mind, guys, this is like a crazy high stress exam, like 5 or 6 hours. We're studying like 800 to 1,000 page thick textbooks. So with that being said, you kind of want your test date to be, firm, so then you can study and plan accordingly. Well, that
Yeah, because you want to study your weakest points when you're closest to the exam, but when your exam date is changing every 2 days leading up to the exam when your exam should be, it was a joke. It literally just seemed like a cosmic joke.
And meanwhile, keep in mind, like, this is when People were buying all the toilet paper at the stores.
Yeah.
We drove through Seattle. It was literally a ghost town, and I keep telling her to this day, I'm kind of mad that I didn't make a video of it, because
Yeah, it was bizarre.
we'll never see a city, or especially Seattle, like that again.
Yeah, just no people, no cars, nothing.
And to further paint a picture, we were studying like 8 hours a day. Everywhere was closed. We were quarantined. Like the city was shut down. We were going on walks. Gyms were closed. And you guys know me. Like, if I don't hit the gym, I get real upset.
I think at one point you were doing chest press with me.
Yeah.
My whole body.
Yep. And there was like a little playground by us where I'd go and like do pull-ups at the pull-up bar there. So, you know, we made do. We went on walks every day, but overall, like, it was so stressful. And I know you guys all went through kind of the same thing, but this was our circumstances at the time. And what was I gonna say?
Well, I had trained for a half marathon at that point too.
Yeah, that
And
got canceled.
Got canceled. The
And-
Mercer Island half.
Luckily, we booked this nice Airbnb. And ended up working out well because we stayed there, 24/7 for 2 months. So
Yeah, because that was when nobody was even using Airbnbs because it was so new. COVID was so novel, and it was just everyone was scared.
I also wanted to make this video just to reflect and to update you guys, but our lives sound kind of like made up when we talk about it like this. So then we finally take the boards. She went first, and I went a few days after. And we had to wait, at least 2 weeks?
Yeah, I just remember like feeling like I knew less. I didn't know more questions than I did know. I do remember thinking that at the end. And you were certain that you failed. Certain.
So
certain.
I took the boards, and I feel so bad for her because
I've never seen you behave that way.
I'm someone that likes immediate results, right? Like I work hard. I like to see the results immediately. And to me, I point blank felt like I failed, and we had to wait 2 weeks. So it was not a good time. And keep in mind, still not being able to work out.
Yeah, and just not able. We were applying for jobs and really not knowing what that future was gonna be like.
Yeah. And then so from there, it was maybe a week or two after we took the boards, we headed back to the Midwest because our Airbnb was ending, and graduation was coming out, and it was very up in the air. We didn't know what was going to happen with that. So we ended up heading back towards the Midwest, crossed through Montana, which at the time they acted like nothing was going on.
Yeah, so that was so nice because I remember going to a restaurant and eating inside and just being amazed and just so happy because it was our anniversary.
We walk in and like, I think we might have had a mask with us, and everyone's just looking at us, and we're looking around. We're like, this is like a simulation. Like, it's a complete 180 from where we just were in Seattle. But there in a hotel, we found our board's exam results. And again, I was certain that, that I failed. But turns out I did pretty well.
He got a perfect. He got 100%. Not a single point off.
So that's why it's even more funny, because I was 100% certain that I failed. So then we headed back to the Midwest. Our graduation ended up getting canceled because of COVID. So we didn't have a formal graduation actually, which is...
They had like this little montage that they streamed basically, but it was nothing. It was nothing.
It's quite sad because we went through so much to get to this point. It's a terminal degree, 7-8 years of school, all this hard work, and then to not even like have any sort of celebration was kind of a letdown.
They did have a delayed celebration last September.
Yeah.
Which is over a year and a half after we actually graduated. So
Yeah, I mean,
you can imagine that not many people went.
we weren't able to make it, but it just wasn't the same to have kind of that conclusion that, you know, you made it, here it is, all the hard work finally coming together. But it is what it is. So
It is what it is.
she lives in Wisconsin, I live in Minnesota,
Oh, God.
and I think it was at least 2 months.
Yeah.
We had to do long distance, which, you know, I'm sure some of you guys know long distance just isn't the same, and it's pretty taxing on a relationship.
Well, I just hated being there.
So yeah, there's that. And meanwhile, we probably, at this point, we probably sent out maybe 15 or 20 job applications. And our whole thing was we were going to do travel therapy afterwards. We wanted to do travel physical therapy, and jobs just weren't there because of COVID.
Yeah.
So we back and forth for 2 months.
Applied to 48,
It ended up being 48 total, but
but yeah.
come
July.
end of July, mid to end of July, we were just like, okay, we've had it. We had 0 leads, keep this in mind. And she was losing full.
I couldn't stay in my hometown.
So we ended up on a whim driving out to Portland, back out to Portland, because we knew we wanted to, you know, I guess end up in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, so we got licensed in both Oregon and Washington to broaden our odds for jobs.
And we get to Portland and we stay in like an extended stay hotel.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. Had a good gym.
So keep in mind, we're still like on student loans, by the way. Like, we don't have much money.
No, looking for jobs actively.
Looking for jobs, bank accounts quickly dwindling. And I was just so nervous because, you know, I was telling her the whole time, you know, we need at least a lead before we head out.
We had a few leads on our way out.
We had 0 interviews.
You were interviewing on the road.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't until we got to Portland where I got the interview with Eden.
It happened though.
So we got this. I got this interview with a place called. I'm not even gonna name the company, but
But you are.
so Eden. I already said that, but I had an interview with them. It was for like a PRN, which is an as-needed position. It's not guaranteed hours or anything. And from that, we ended up. This was in like Seattle, Tacoma, Washington area. We ended up just moving up there on this non-guaranteed position for me. Meanwhile, she's still looking for a job.
I had interviewed with Northwest Sports on our drive out there, but they straight up ghosted me, so that was odd.
So the uncertainty is still
Yeah,
100%.
Looming large.
So we got this pretty nice 1-bedroom apartment, and I had this offer for this as-needed position. She's still looking. I think she finally got an offer with an outpatient clinic, and it was an absurd low offer.
Yeah.
And she was about to take it, but we had to show them that we had this income. Luckily, they accepted us because I don't know what we would have done.
It worked out.
So I was about to start. I did the first or second day of training with this this as-needed company, and then I saw a job posting for a full-time position for the same type of home health position in Tacoma. So I apply, go through 3 rounds of interviews. It was phone, Skype / FaceTime or whatever, and then the last one was a panel with 3 people. Luckily, this one paid quite a bit more than the average physical therapist even makes. And this was like, I wanted this position because of, that was one of the reasons, but other things as well. And luckily during the interview, they were like, hey, if you know any physical therapists, you know, send them our way. And I was like, well, as a matter of fact, I do.
That was me. He's talking about me.
So I think you had already accepted the other position.
Yeah, I had like an orientation date set.
Yeah.
But I ended up applying for this other home health physical therapy position and bypassed one of the interviews.
Yep.
So I had a video interview and then a panel interview and got the job. So we both were getting hired at this same place. the same home health agency, and I rescinded my other offer.
Yeah, it was pretty. I don't know. I wasn't happy with that company. In any case, so we worked for this company for the better part of maybe close to a year and a half. Great company. We lived in Point Ruston, which is a nice part of Tacoma. And in Tacoma, actually, we didn't know this, but the crime rate there is super high.
The very first season of Cops was filmed in Tacoma.
Compton.
Filmed in Lakewood, aka
Lake Hood.
Lake Hood.
That's what they called it. So,
sketchy areas.
and with our jobs in home health, we had to go into the community every single day. And it seemed like everyone's cars were getting broken into, and the cost of living was high. As a result, we lived there for a while, and then my cousin, who's like a sister to me, her and her husband moved to Southern Oregon around like the Medford Valley area. And there's an agency down here that's like a sister agency to the one we worked up there in Washington. So we were like, they had demand, it would be an easy transition. So we ended up deciding to move down here. And so that's where we're at now. Still doing home health physical therapy.
Yep, so we've been here about 6 months now, doing the same thing.
It's a much better area for living.
And it's so pretty. Not that Tacoma wasn't pretty, but this is like just a different type of pretty. But I love it.
So far we're enjoying it. We're working full time there. I know you guys may be wondering. This whole time I've been still into the fitness game, going strong at it. Sometimes she makes me eat food like this Domino's pizza here.
We got lava cakes yet.
Exactly. But it's still a big passion of mine, and maybe I'll make a video kind of going into my fitness routine and everything currently. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at now.
Yeah.
I didn't think this would take 27 minutes, but...
We didn't get any dogs in the photo, though.
Well, this is our little guy. I've already introduced you guys in the past, but... What's up, Dad?
I'm too close to the
What's
food.
up, Dad?
He's got his phone away.
Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know it was long, and if you guys stuck through this long, then you guys are definitely champs. So stay tuned for upcoming videos. I am not sure what I'm making next, but I know there's a video coming soon after this. So thanks again for watching. Dodes, say peace out.
Stay with me while
All right, bye guys.
we leave. Don't worry, just feel